Howdy, 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 Zach Scott here with another quick Source Filmmaker tutorial. Today's going to be a bit of a weird one. Instead of giving you something super direct and specific, I'm going to show you guys how you can start building particles on your own. And a lot of people think that when I jumped into particles, I just opened up the particle editor and threw down some things and magically stuff started to work. And that's pretty much not how I did it. I basically cheated and reverse engineered a lot of the stuff that Valve built. And what I'm going to do today is show you how to do the same. So you can kind of start to get a feel for jumping in and hacking up particles that are already existing, and that'll get you started on your way to understanding how particles work and then building your own particles. This is kind of how I eventually learned so much about particles, and hopefully it can do the same for you. So in this film that I have here, which is unreleased and I will not show to you, I need Francis to be around some cool flaming papers that are blowing around in the breeze. So just some nasty papers everywhere, and I just want it to be like this big epic just trash storm. So I'm going to see if I can make that by finding a Valve particle that's similar and reverse engineering it and tweaking it out and just pimping it. So I'm going to jump into the particle editor. So if you've never done that before, go to Window, Particle Editor Tool. Open that up, and that'll open up the particle editor. It's a slightly smaller window than the regular Source Filmmaker, but you kind of just have to live with it. So I want to make a paper storm. I think I remember something similar within the Left 4 Dead particles. So this I found just by browsing particle file after particle file to see what's in them. So I have all my Source Filmmaker folders here, and I'm going to go to Left 4 Dead 2. I'm going to go into Particles. And I think it'll be an environmental particle, so just kind of intuiting here after understanding Valve's naming systems. So open this up, and let's see if I can find a particle similar to what I want. So I'm just going to turn this background to be grayer so it's not black, just in case. And I'm just going to kind of start going through these particles and looking at them. So if you've never done this before, in the particle system window, you'll have the little preview boxes of every particle within the file. You can kind of scroll down and get previews of all of them. You can click on them to open them up. You can turn off show previews, and this will give you a lot more speed as you're going here. There's this little one. I'm not sure what it does, and this C. I should really figure out what those do. But I don't know right now, so you don't know right now. So I'm going to see if I can find something similar to that paper storm now. So kind of going to go through here. Yesterday I was in the hospital and I had my final procedure done. They removed the stent from my cystic bile duct. So I should be on the way to a free and clear recovery. Let's see. Leaves blow horizontal. This might be something similar to what I want. Gonna kind of look at that here. So it's a bit subtle, but there's some leaves blowing here from left to right. Yeah, okay, so those are really cool. They kind of blow up and then come down and drift along. That's neat. I'm gonna remember that one. But that's not what I want here. Ooh, but right below it is paper streets. So looking at this particle, which Valve has already made, there's some just general paper blowing around in the streets. There's a couple of other ones. Paper streets, newspaper B, which just seems to be white. Child newspapers. I bet there's like some sort of big master particle for this. Paper streets. No. That's weird though, because this see what you see in here in the particle system is if you look at the naming conventions for a lot of these particles. Like you see here, there's paper streets, child, newspaper B. The reason you see a lot of these like similarly named particles is one of the ways Valve makes particles is by layering a whole bunch of them into a single particle. So what you would normally expect is that paper streets would have all of these other particles added as children. So I would just go into the children section and add these other particles. So I bet that at some point this particle system looked kind of like this, with all of these children added in here. Whoops, paper streets, child, newspaper B. Paper streets, child, newspaper. This might be the sort of thing that they are actually compositing these together, but it's happening at game time instead of at the initialization of the particle. Paper streets, paper paper streets. Receipt, and then paper streets receipt 2. This is a retardedly complicated paper particle here. Yeah, so it might have at some point looked a little more like this. Not that much more awesome, really, but, you know, there's some more paper flying around here. So I think that I want to keep this. Well, I'm going to take another quick look around, see if there's any other sort of paper or trash, maybe, in this particle file, just to be sure that I have the one I want to work with. T for trash. T for trash. QRST. T. This is a funny particle. Whoops. Usually. No, this one. Yeah. This one that just spits out all these tickets. Bleh. I like to have those coming out of Francis's mouth. Looks like I can't find this trash particle. Let me just do a quick search for garbage. G, garbage. Nope. So I'm going to go for the paper streets. So grabbing this particle. I'm really just going to care about particle number 1 because I know that I don't need all these children. And instead of just editing this particle here, I'm going to just put it into my own new file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of these. I'm going to select every operator within this particle and every renderer and initializer. So I'm just going to do a shift select of everything, copy all of the functions, and create a new particle file. So I'm not going to save these changes. I'm going to create a new particle, which is street paper. It's my wholly original and completely brand new particle, which is not a Valve creation at all. So, street papers. And I'm just going to save that into my custom content particles. Babushka. And there we go. So I have my own, let me just actually populate this. So I'm going to paste in all those functions as well. So there we go. Now I have my duplicated street paper. And the first thing I want to do is beef this sucker up. So normally when I'm poking around with a particle, I'll look at the emission type first. So this controls how fast and how much and how many particles are coming out at one time. This is going really slow, so I'm going to knock this up to like 60. And now we have considerably more particles here. I'm going to knock this up to 250. Still don't seem like there's a ton of particles coming out, so I bet there's a constraint on that. So there's probably a maximum papers of 12. No, let's make that 600. Boom. Oh man, now there's paper up the wazoo. It's just going everywhere. All right, so let's make a couple of tweaks to this as well. I don't want this to be going under the world, so I'm going to add an operator that I know exists called when crossing plane, which will basically just destroy any particles that go under the world. This is it's just housekeeping. It removes it from the number of particles in use so that we don't end up paying for particles that we're not seeing. Making your particle systems optimized and run nicely is kind of important if you want to not have your whole system crash. I think these particles could be a little more floppy and loopy, so I'm going to add a turbulent force generator. And I'm just going to give them some ridiculous numbers. And a lot of my original experimentation with particles was just going in and finding everywhere Valve had put numbers and giving them more numbers. You learn a lot about what something does by sending it to its extremes. Alright, so this particle is a little more loopy and floppy. And it has no drag. I'm going to give it a 0.04 drag. Whoa, no, 0.01. Yeah, that's cool. Alright, these particles are a little bit dim. I think they need more alpha, so I'm going to make sure that the alpha is set up properly. I'm going to give it an alpha random. Right now it's at 255, which makes it fully solid, which is cool. That's what I want. But it still seems to be fading in quite a bit. So I wonder how long the fade-in time was set for. Only 0.1. I'm going to remove both of these and this one, and just use an alpha fade and decay. What's the lifetime of these particles? Super long, holy crap. I wish that they would start a little more defined. Anyway, you can kind of see how I'm just kind of poking around here and just changing basic things to get different interesting results. Let's see, get a twist around axis. Most of the operators here do do what you think they do just based on their names. So like twist around axis, I can imagine with a little bit of certainty that this makes a particle twist around a certain axis. The question of which axis might be curious and weird to know. So the way I find that out is I just kind of look right below it, and it has control point. Control point is generally the basically if you're working in Source Filmmaker and you have a particle, when you create it, you will have a certain number of control points possibly. By default, you'll probably only have one, which will be control point 0. But if you have multiple control points, the reason those are there is because each of those control points can control a certain function of a particle. So in this case, control point 1, or this control point, which is by default control point 0, controls which axis the particle spins around. So if I made this control point 1, then when I created the particle, I would have a control point named control point 1. And as I rotated that control point, it would change the axis around which this particle rotates. And that's basically kind of a crash course on what the hell that meant for control points. So I'm going to give this some twist axis force. So I'm just going to give it a nice high stupid number, so 5200. And that's way too high. How about 520? Interesting. So that's a bit more crazy, but I don't think it's crazy enough, because these papers are going outward, and you know what would be really crazy is if these papers went inward. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start hacking around in here some more. So position within sphere random. This initializer is what controls where the particle starts. Almost all particles will have some sort of initializer which controls where they begin. If they don't, then they begin exactly at the center of the particle. But if they do, then they'll probably have particles, starting to exist within fields or spaces or spheres. Or general shapes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a distance absolute bias of 0 on all platforms, so that it only emits along a flat plane, and the distance max is going to be 300. No. 700, and the distance min is going to be 600, which means that all particles will come from a small ring around the edge of this 600 unit wide sphere. Now, that in and of itself doesn't give me anything crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pull towards control point force generator. So there's my pull towards control point force generator. I'm going to set that up to be control point 2, and I'm going to give that an amount of force of 500. How does that work? Oh, and a fall off power of 0. There we go. Now the papers are just swirling in and around. Now it's crazy times. I wonder what else I could do. I'm going to change the fade in so that it fades in way faster. There we go. That's much nicer. I'm going to save that real quick. And now I have my paper storm. I can even move around in the little preview window of each control point. So if I take control point 2, I can set that to be 1000, and now it'll be way off above it, giving us an example of what this effect would look like in another setting. Anyway, I think I've created my crazy papers, so I'm going to throw them in my scene and see how it works. So I'm going to switch back to SFM, jump over to the shot I want to deal with, and throw in my papers. So I'm just going to create this new particle atom set, particle system. Browse to the particle file that I want. Which is going to be called Street Papers. And I'm going to grab the particle named Street Papers. Oh god! SFM crashed. I'm going to restart SFM real quick. Holy crap. You guys don't know the amount of insane crap that just happened while I was trying to get SFM going again. That was ridiculous. Oh, man. Anyway, so I'm going to drop my particle file into here. So I'm just going to grab my animation particle set for new particle system. Go to my street paper particles. Hope this doesn't crash again. Oh, wow. Something has gone wrong with my particle file. That is concerning. I will try to recover that. Yep. Oh. Click that. Yep. And just reloading SFM here. So have you guys been playing any cool games? I played that new Assassin's Creed game with the pirates. It's pretty cool. And then I played State of Decay, which is also pretty cool, but needs multiplayer. Yep. Yeah. SFM sure does take a long time to load sometimes. Come on. There you go. You can do it. Just keep loading. Just keep loading. Yeah. I've done this a lot of times. Oh, here we go. Now, instead of just quickly reopening that particle file and crashing again, I'm gonna reopen that particle file. There's my street papers. So why, oh why, do you cause a crash? Save that twice. Yeah, I'll take this one and give it a negative force. Whoops. A negative twist. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so let's see here. Back in Source Filmmaker. Turn the sound off. Turn on particles. Turn off other things like models. And come over here. Cool. Save everything. Pray to the god Bahamut that we will load this particle without crashing. Wait for SFM to take its dear sweet time while it finishes saving. Yep. Oh, hey, there we go. All right. So let's see if that particle loads. If it doesn't, I don't think I'm going to keep trying. So I'm just going to go to Browse. Going to click Street Papers. I'm going to wait 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open. Okay, so hopefully the information in this tutorial will be of aid to you. I am sorry that I could not get to the final process. Have a nice day.